The caller is in the house. The calls are coming from the house.
What up? What's happening? Welcome back. Blood Splatter Chatter. Verno with you. Whoa, high thumbs. Tonight, we continue our road to Halloween, final stop on the road to Halloween with Bob Clark's Black Christmas from 1974, a movie that I will say is absolutely essential for the road to Halloween. There's a good chance we would have got Halloween as we know it, at least, without this one. And here to help me break it all down, it's Big Stu from Dr. Dude's Fan Club. What up, my brother?
What's up, bro? Good to see you. How are you?
I am well. Big Link will be joining us in just a little bit. Big Link and the Missing Stew. I love that. But Link will be coming in just a few short moments. He's over there doing another live stream over on what's the dude's name? Paul and the
619.
Paul and the 619.
Yeah,
over
man.
with our buddy Mark
Good
from
people.
Geeks Unleashed.
Oh yeah.
So as I said, we got a lot going on. First off, this is the final stop, as I said, on the road to Halloween. If this is your first episode tuning in for this series, what we've been doing is going back to 1960 with Psycho and Peeping Tom and kind of watching, reviewing, studying, and following the tropes of the slasher genre, the movies that led to John Carpenter's 1978 classic Halloween, which is why next week we'll be covering Halloween. And this one, Stu, I don't know, you tend to kind of look in, do a little background research and some fun facts about the film, but I don't know if you came across the connection between this movie, Black Christmas, and Halloween. Did you happen to read anything about that?
I did not. So please educate me.
Good. I love that. Makes it even better. So basically, this came out in 2006 when they made the Black Christmas remake. I think they did a new release. Don't quote me, but I think they did a Blu-ray, and then in the commentary or interviews or something for that Blu-ray for the re-release of this movie, he came out and said that him and John Carpenter, after Black Christmas came out and before Halloween came out, they were hanging out and they had a conversation. And John Carpenter said, "Oh, I love Black Christmas. Shit's the shit. You know, one of my favorites." And hold on, I had to turn my fan down. And basically, John Carpenter got to saying, if you were gonna do a sequel, which Bob Clark said, "I'll never do a sequel." He's like, "I'm moving on from horror." He wants to do other things. He went on to do Porky's and he did A Christmas Story, and he made a name from there. But John Carpenter says, if you did do a sequel, like what would you have done? And he said, I would have had it so the following year on Halloween, the killer from this movie breaks out of a mental institution and he goes back to the same sorority house and he starts killing girls again. And he said, I would name it Halloween. So a lot of people say, like, he stole the idea. John Carpenter took the idea from Halloween from Bob Clark. And Bob Clark's pretty cool about it. He says when he saw Halloween, he was like, hot diggity damn, he did it. He did it, you know. But
Yeah.
But there's also the flip side of that is John Carpenter has said he's never specifically commented on this and said like yes or no. He's never said that conversation happened or whatever. But what is known to be true is that like a producer came to him with like, hey, we want to make a movie called The Babysitter Murders, in which this guy is killing babysitters, right? Going and stalking babysitters and killing babysitters. And then it got turned to we want to name that Halloween. So Halloween was mixed in with that too. So it sounds to me like what he did, he took the idea that he got from his producers about a stalker stalking and killing babysitters on Halloween night, mixed it with Bob Clark's idea with the escaped mental patient coming back a year later, because it's the same thing. It's so you could picture John Carpenter, and again, I'm just guessing, but you could picture him being like, oh, he goes back to that same house a year later. Like he's drawn to that house, like he's fixated to it.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what he does with Michael Myers in Halloween. So that's why I say, like, there's a good chance. It could be totally wrong, could have nothing, it could have not influenced it as much as I think so. But I do not think we would have got Halloween the way that we got it without that conversation between those two, and specifically without this movie.
That's super dope. To me, I think the most revealing connection was the thing I thought about was Ted Bundy. I
What's
don't
that?
know if you recall Ted Bundy at the end of his infamous reign when he was on the run. He one of his last stops was in at Florida State University. He went into a sorority house. He bludgeoned a couple girls, like one girl with a piece of firewood, and then sexually attacked her, and I think he killed two girls, and then two others survived.
I
Um,
know what you're
but
talking about.
but that happened, 4 or 5 years after this movie. It was cool, like looking it up. I think I saw this on Wikipedia, but like when they were gonna do a screening of it, like 4 or 5 years later, and they on cable TV, and they opted out not to because of Bundy's crimes. But that like when I was watching the movie, and just thinking with in relation to pop culture, um, that's the Bundy connection was the thing that stuck out the most to me. I
That's
would
interesting.
the beginning with Halloween, right? Like I think
Big time.
that was like where the connection made the most sense to me.
Well, I love that because when I had first seen this, I hadn't seen Peeping Tom yet, which is why I'm glad that Peeping Tom
Mm,
was part of this series. Because then you go back to that. It's the same. A lot
thought
of
about that
way
too
less
during this
people.
too.
I'm
Yeah,
sure far less people have seen Peeping Tom that have seen Black Christmas. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But yeah, Peeping Tom 1960 opens up POV shot with the killer
yeah.
stalking a victim. And it's like stalking and these POV shots go all the way back, as we mentioned, I think in the Peeping Tom episode. I haven't seen this movie, but just from what I've read, that Hitchcock movie, The Lodger from 1927, you've got POV shots in that too. And there's a serial killer going around killing blondes with a knife. So it's like from the beginning of cinema, almost, or from like the almost the beginning of it.
Well, dude, I just love that I'm out here watching Black Christmas, thinking about Peeping Tom references while I'm doing so. You
I
know what I
love it.
mean? I view the thing.
That's why I said it's working. This series is working
Absolutely,
exactly how
brother.
I wanted it
Absolutely.
to. What up, you
Amen.
guys in the chat? I appreciate you guys popping in with us. Slasher Fred says, I
Fred,
think
what
that what
up?
makes Black Christmas a very cult classic is how it was a big influence in the movies that used the POV shot in its villain in the movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th. 100%. Because as I said, we were just saying Peeping Tom did it. I don't know that everyone saw Peeping Tom. You know what I mean? Not as
Right.
many people
Absolutely. Great point.
saw
Yeah.
that as much as they saw Black Christmas, which was a pretty big deal in Canada at the time, and a big enough deal that
Yeah.
we know
It's like
John
one of
Carpenter
the
saw it.
top grossing Canadian films of all time or something, right? Or at
Oh,
least
I
it was.
actually did not know that. No, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I think when it dropped, it was crazy.
What up,
Huge
Two Gun?
success.
What up, Sal, my brethren? Appreciate you
What
guys
up?
being here. Slasher
Hey,
Fred
Drew.
says, I think that Black Christmas may have been the first holiday horror movie because for a while Christmas movies had a fair tale quality or a fairy tale
Very
quality to it. I assume he says definitely, and that's another great point because there's a wave of them after this. This like a holiday slasher is its own subgenre of its own. You've got My Bloody Valentine, Happy Birthday to Me, Halloween, obviously, Friday the 13th, which I don't think of as being like a holiday slasher, but that's the same
true.
idea. They're like, oh, we're going to pick significant dates and make a movie based on those. And I'm sure there's a bunch that I didn't mention there. But I'm trying to think of anything else that I wanted to say before we just dive into it. I say we do that. I say we just dive into this bad boy. I on the rewatch. I think I told you last week. Like my first time watching this movie, I was like a little bit underwhelmed, and I remember thinking it was a little bit slow. And it's just like I think part of it is like you have all these preconceived notions of what a slasher movie is going to be and how it's going to go down, and the tone and the flow, and just certain things like that. And this one, because it's came when it did, none of these tropes existed yet. Like we did, this came out a couple months after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which we were calling the first teen slasher. And
That's
this,
crazy.
I want to say in the States they might have came out on the same day. I just saw that a couple days ago in a video, but so maybe that's fucking true too. But regardless, we were calling Texas Chainsaw Massacre the first teen slasher, and then here's this one, and it's definitely a teen slasher as well, but it's even more like what you think of when you think of a teen slasher, where it's just the one killer and the stalking, and it's not all these extra elements that Texas Chainsaw has. A more defined final girl and just character wise, but I love
I
it.
thought,
The
yeah.
more I watch it, the more that I like this thing. But first time watch for you, man. What did you think?
Yeah, I loved it as well. Yeah, like it definitely, like you said, Halloween vibes from the get go, and I just love the way the pacing, the structure of it. We get our first kill like 11 minutes in, like we don't really waste any time.
Right. And we get that phone
And
call before it too.
the
Yeah.
phone calls are and dialogue A1. The phone calls were disturbing. These characters were real. The things they said were like very real. I thought the relationship, like I thought they did a great job, like really grounding these characters in reality. And yeah, I thought it was brilliant putting him in a sorority house up in the attic. The calls are coming from inside the house. It was practical when it needed to be, but there was also elements that were off and quirky and weird and some things that just kind of felt like they didn't belong. But that's what I love about it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I
So
think it's a little rough around the edges, not as
yes,
polished as stuff, but
absolutely,
I like that. Again, I'll go
absolutely.
back to the scene that wasn't in the version of Deep Red that you saw, but the way that Deep Red, the Italian version, starts out is that the very opening scene, the very first bit of dialogue you get is they're talking about jazz, and jazz shouldn't be so perfect. Like we're not trying to make something that's that polished. And I think that fits in perfectly with this. It's just like Texas Chainsaw. Like you could look at it and be like, oh, that's kind of a mess in so many ways. You know what I mean? It's not polished, but that is to me
I
what
love
makes
that
it
horror
so
as
good.
jazz. Yeah, absolutely, dude. And it's this one feels like that, and a lot. And dude, the cast, man, the cast is so incredible. So like, it's
Agreed.
yeah, dude. I don't. I think even like the bigger name stars and the no names really brought it. So it was a delight for me. First time watch, and I really enjoyed it. How long did this one take in terms of like pop culture recognition and really becoming
My
known
man,
as known as like a classic?
I'll answer that in just a second. But first, let's welcome in from a new home, my brother, the missing link. Dude, what up, man?
Hey,
Appreciate you.
What's up, fellas?
what's up, bro?
Sorry, I'm a little tardy.
All good.
Just helping brother Mark, but yeah, I'm new home. I'm lighting's not the best, but I'm kind of glad right now, just because everyth's still in like disarray. So I'm hiding a lot of boxes right now, a lot of clutter. But yeah, uh, in the new home, we're ready to talk this wonderful Christmas classic, horror classic.
Hell yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
To answer your questions, too, I don't fucking know. As far
Okay.
I'll just put it this way. I never fucking heard of this movie till I got deeper into horror. And I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of people did because they made 2 remakes of it. I'm sure when
Yeah,
it came out in
Right.
2006. I
yep,
always
that
I
was it.
always find it interesting watching like the interviews and stuff. And there's so many of these people that were in these movies back in the day that like had no idea that they were kind of famous people until the internet came out. And that's what that's the case with this movie. A lot of them didn't realize the cult classic that it had become until like, oh, I got on Facebook, and all of a sudden there's all these people on Facebook wanting to interview me and stuff like that. And that's what Claire, the actress that plays Claire from this one, says in the special features. But I honestly don't know, brother. I don't think it was very big. I think it was more like if you're a horror aficionado or like if you're a maker, a
Yeah.
filmmaker, then you know about it. But I could be wrong, honestly.
I mean, I've always kind of felt like that's a good question. I always felt it kind of had like a cult status, but it wasn't like in the zeitgeist. Like you said, like
Right.
you were saying, if you were like a horror aficionado, that was up there on like, that was something you knew of. But like a common, I'm glad you mentioned the remakes. Like my first exposure to Black Christmas was like the '06 one. And then through that, I found out, I was like, oh, this is a remake of like
Right.
an earlier film. So I'm curious about that.
Slasher Fred. This is a good point. We'll probably get back to this in a little bit. But Slasher Fred says, I think this movie gives the plot twist away early in the scenes because we already know that the harassing phone calls are coming basically from the house. We know what's going, which obviously comes from the urban legend about the killers in the house. There's a bunch of movies based on this. There was later on When a Stranger Calls, and then the sequel When a Stranger Calls Again or Calls Back or something like that. But I think that adds. Well, shit. I'll just kind of respond to it now. We'll dig into it deeper later. I think it adds a lot to it. That's a huge part of the movie that we know that the
Yeah,
killer is upstairs and they don't. and they play with that constantly. But
It adds to like to be honest, I don't know if it's necessarily a plot twist because the whole theme of it is like who it's like a guessing game. Is then like we know it's coming from in the house, but it
right.
moves to like who's the culprit, who's the perpetrator now, who's the one out of these group of people that we've seen. It could be someone random that we haven't seen, but the way the film structured for me was like I'm trying to like, okay, is it the weird pianist boyfriend, or is it like just someone that's got a gripe or something, that we've seen that has to be revealed?
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's come back to that because to me, I want to end there when we talk about. I love the ending of it. I think the mystery of it is fucking genius. Really.
Yeah.
It's like it's subtle and it reminds me again a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's like it's a different kind of way of putting a mystery in a story. I don't know. It's unique in that way. But Link, my brother, Stu, I'm glad you said you enjoyed it. But what about you on the rewatch? You'd seen this a couple times before, right?
Yeah. This is, I don't know if I'm like a horror mood lately, but this is like one of my favorite older horror movies that I've seen. Like where it's sometimes I can get a little worrisome, I guess, about diving into older films, but there's other older films where I'm like, oh, that's a classic. This is kind of like one of those I don't mind throwing on. I just like how it moves along. It's hour and 20, but it feels perfect. It's I don't feel because hour 20 seems kind of, when I say that out loud, it seems shorter. But this movie doesn't feel like it seems rushed, if in a sense, like it lingers on shit it needs to linger on. But sorry, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. But no, I this is a classic. I enjoy this one. I find that I'm very fascinated that the director turned around and like did a 360 from like this to Christmas. Like that's, I wish someone would do like a documentary on that. It
like, almost doesn't seem real. Like what I mean? Like what do you mean? The guy that made A Christmas Story? That's what I'm saying. I bet most people, everybody knows A Christmas Story, but very few people know that the dude made Black Christmas before that. I bet.
Yeah.
Or Porky's. Porky's, that had me thinking too. Like I honestly am not familiar with Porky's. I'm pretty fucking sure that it's a teen comedy. You know what I mean? And that's in 1981.
Yeah,
so
raunchy
like,
too. Like
he's a big part of kind of leading us down to that, like where everything became about teens in the 80s. Black Christmas and then with Porky's, he's a huge influence on cinema in general. Bob Clark,
okay,
yeah.
But this one, man, it's damn near perfect. The only thing I would change, and it's I say this, I gotta tread my words carefully. I think because the remakes are terrible, but one thing I do think they get down over the original. This is the only thing is like the rapport between the girls and their backstory and stuff. Like there's certain scenes that, and I'm getting too far, but certain there's a lot of cop scenes in the original that I think don't really add anything to the overall structure of the story. But because the dude was like the bigger actor, he's like one of the bigger actors in the movie, Lieutenant Ken or whatever.
John Saxon.
I understand why he got
Nancy's dad from Night.
Yes. Yeah. So I understand that, but it's I would have just, that's my only nitpick. But other than that, I think it's a great movie, fucking straight to the point. It's hard to nail like Christmas vibes, because it's like what that incites, while being morbidly morose the way this movie does. So it's an intriguing blend that they pull off quite well. But I enjoy this movie quite a bit.
Hell yeah, man. I fucking love it. Let's go ahead and pull this bad boy up now. There's a couple characters missing on here, specifically Claire, the girl that dies first and spends the rest of the movie with the bag over her head, and then her dad. And I think that's an aspect of the movie that feels different than the slashers that follow it, where you've got the victim. We see her die right off the bat, and then we have to spend huge chunks of the rest of the movie with this dad looking for his daughter. And to me, that just hits. It's so fucking sad when he's just standing around, sitting there waiting for her to show up, and just the rest of the movie. That's one thing that is really treated differently about it. Is there's this genuine, like, sadness that the characters have, like the girl with the curly hair there. I can't remember her name in the movie, but there's a point where she's like, I know she's dead. I can just feel it. I feel so bad for her dad, and she's crying, and that's not. like it's weird because yes, you have that. You have characters in slasher movies that are upset about their friends and stuff, but it's not like with this sadness surrounding it. It's usually like don't get too sad. Let's keep it light. Let's keep these kills fun and move it along.
Yeah.
There's something really different about
They
this movie.
approach it as more of almost like a drama. You know, these people's problems are approached from a realistic standpoint. You know, the most classic example is old girl on the phone and her pianist boyfriend. You know, where he's like got the whole. It's interesting the argument where she's like you just you can expect me to just. I still got shit I want to do. Just because stuff isn't going the way you want to do it and you want to just flip your life around, you can't expect me to just abide by that. Then they have the pregnancy conversation. That's just kind of like reinforcing her point because he's like, what do you mean? Of course you should have this baby. But it's like,
what was wrong with that? That was ridiculous.
No, yeah.
It's so funny. At one point, I put down in my notes, I'm like, how in the wrong really is Peter? And then right after that, he's like starts saying all this crazy shit. I'm like, scratch. Okay, all right, never mind. Yeah. I think it would have been cooler if his like nobility or his moral compass was a little bit more ambiguous throughout the whole movie.
Yes. Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that would have made it a little bit of a cooler movie because then like at the end, he would have been like, oh fuck, which we'll get to. But here, let me read a couple comments before Stu, I ask you about the cast. Big Fred saying the opening haunting version of Silent Night is such a very tremendous chorus. It's incredible how the movie came out 2 years before The Omen, which has a very haunting chorus theme. Great call out, man. Nice. The music in it in general, it's just a lot of Christmas music, obviously, which sets it off. But it's
the music
very
and the sound
chilling.
in this is incredible.
For sure.
Oh, the sound, bro. Real quick, before I forget it, that Fred kind of just reminded me of it. But like the opening of the movie in general, I love how that blend I was talking about, where it's like a Christmas movie, but it's fucking a horror movie at the same time. Like, and it feels like it feels like both of them. But it's like it establishes like the Christmas party, everything's festive, and people are drinking, having a good time. Music in the background, a lot of different sounds, glasses tingling and clinging and stuff like that.
Right.
Then you get to the killer POV. And it's fucking ambient, like just sounds absolutely and shit. It's fucking. You hear him fucking wheezing and shit. This everything you become because he's in the attic, obviously, but it's just the contrast. Just really, I took note of that. I thought that was really.
They do a lot of like mixing in like comedy with horror, like off the bat. There's a kill scene, then you get a joke, and then something creepy right after that, like with a joke sandwiched in between. One thing, just because you guys reminded me again, like looking at the opening scene, which we've already mentioned, like reminiscent of Halloween and Peeping Tom, you can see this is 4 years before Halloween, and Halloween was one of the first movies to use, I think it's called the Panavision, like this new kind of camera, and you can really see the step up in Halloween and just the smoothness of it. This is very clunky, but to me, it's like it's cool. Like I kind of appreciate the clunkiness of it. It adds to like it gives it more like a bit of a creepy vibe in its own right.
Yeah. It makes it seem like it adds to the vibe. It almost feels like Well, I'll come back to that once I get something better.
I love it. Stu, what you think of the cast, man? Do you have any favorites or just general thoughts?
Oh man, so many favorites. So first, like the piano player is also the guy from 2001.
Oh
no shit!
Yeah, yo.
I did not even look into him, man. No shit.
Like, I found that up looking up the cast.
His name is
Margot Kidder, obviously.
Keir Dullea. Sorry, Keir Dullea.
No, yeah. Shout out to him. Margot Kidder, obviously, future Mrs. Lois Lane, incredible. I really dug the house mom. I thought was hilarious.
Yeah,
and you talk about bringing comedy to the film. I thought she definitely delivered that on a number of fronts. And I thought, what was homegirl who was pregnant? What was her name?
Jess.
Yeah, I thought her performance was great. Like
she's phenomenal.
She was very sincere, realistic, and it felt
she
like
was
the anchor.
It felt solid all the way with her. So.
Her name is Olivia Hussey. That's kind of I feel bad kind of saying that. Bit of a hussy. If that's how you pronounce it, I would think she would pronounce it differently. But I guess she was a pretty big deal at the time. She was Juliet in this Romeo and Juliet adaptation from I think 68, so 6 years before that. So she was a pretty like big star at the time. And then the other one, oh no, the other thing I wanted to mention about her blew my mind. I don't know how familiar you guys are with It 1990, but she is, how do I describe her? She's Billy, the one that stutters when
Oh yeah,
when he grows up. That's his wife.
His wife.
She's like the actress.
Okay.
Crazy. Isn't
Also,
it weird? It's weird how you can see, like, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, duh, like you could just see it. Like, how did I not, you know what I mean? I know these two people. Why did I put them together as the same person? So cool.
Apparently she took this film because she was real into psychics at the time, and some psychic told her she was going to make a bunch of money on a Canadian film or something like that. So she
thank God.
Margot Kidder said she was talking about how her psychic was going to hook her up with Paul McCartney or something like that during the filming, and like they used to bust her balls about that all the time.
That's funny.
So, yeah,
she's got an interesting accent. The one that plays Jess.
Yeah,
I'm looking. It says she's a British
British,
but I feel like she's spent some time elsewhere. Like it's not just a British accent. There's something
very true.
Like Swedish, almost like a British, like kind of like I don't know, it's like German, Swedish a little bit, but I definitely got the British hints. The cop dude in the corner, this is random, but the face he's making reminds me of John Cena. You know, I wouldn't say he necessarily looks like John Cena, but that's a John Cena.
That is a John Cena face, yeah.
He's great. I mean, he's annoying and he's a little bit stupid. This is something I was going to ask you. Like while we're on the subject of him, and we've mentioned the comedy, that whole bit in the middle, I think that was kind of my issue with it the first time. Is when they go to the police station. There's a handful of these jokes that like they're not funny to me anymore, but there's like a charm to them that I kind of enjoy, but they kind of drag on a little bit and they slow the movie down. But you also, it allows you to spend a little bit more time with some of these characters that you wouldn't spend as much time with. But it is a little bit, I could see people not liking it to a degree.
Yeah, there's so many wild ass moments in this film. Like Barb force feeding that kid drink at the party, like that was crazy as shit. While the dad's like right there, the dad who is missing his daughter goes to the search party for the other missing child.
That's very confusing,
right? Because I was like, wait, what's going on here?
It makes it seem like they're out there looking for Claire, right?
Yep.
Right.
And she even like there's a moment after that when Peter comes down from the upstairs and he's talking to Jess, and Jess says, he's like, "Where have you been?" He's like, "I was just out. Claire is missing. We were in a search party looking for her." It's like, no, you weren't. You were looking for this other girl that we've never seen called Janice. And Janice's mom is being comforted by Claire's dad, which makes you think that they're the couple and they're out there looking for
that's the last place that man would be. He like walks up and is like second to discover the body after homegirl scream, and it's like, what is going on here?
I think they're doubling like, we'll use this search party to also look for Claire. Like that's what I've had canon. You know what I mean? Because that's why they say we're out looking for Claire.
It was just too much, though. I don't. It
was wild.
Yeah,
it did for no reason.
Slasher Fred says this movie, along with When a Stranger Calls, which I've never seen. I've seen the opening scene to it. Big influence on Scream because of the whole harassing phone calls trope. 1000%, bro. Like, there's a decent chance, maybe we definitely would have never got Scream without Halloween. Like, that's a fact. That's been stated by the writers. And we might not have got it Scream without this, too, just from that influence. Also, Fred saying, if you guys ever watched 1948 thriller, Sorry, Wrong Number, which is about this woman who accidentally overhears a murder plot over the phone. Big inspiration on the phone call trope. There's one in Black Sabbath, which is an anthology film by Mario Bava. That there's a bit in that kind of is reminiscent of this with a killer on the phone, unless I'm mixing that up.
Seems like that'd be something Hitchcock would play with.
Right.
Yeah. Right. John Saxon. So glad, like it's cool that he's in this movie because, and this is something I did not know about him. Like obviously, many people would recognize him as Nancy's dad from A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the cop in the top right there. But did you not recognize who he was, like?
No. Well, I was gonna say the first movie I recognize him from is like I think it was that Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. He was the dickhead in the tournament. That was like the womanizer and shit. Like, or
totally.
was he the dickhead or was he the nice? I get there was a
No, I
jackass.
don't think he's a dick. Who's the other guy in there? It's some famous athlete.
He was like treating people like shit, and then this guy was a womanizer though. He was like had all the ladies over him and stuff like that. I do remember that.
Well, dude, he was evidently before A Nightmare on Elm Street. He was all over the world making movies because he pops up. He's in the very first Italian giallo ever made.
No shit.
The Girl Who Knew Too Much by Mario Bava, the one that came out right before Blood and Black Lace. He's one of the stars in that. He's in this Canadian film. He's in Enter the Dragon, like we said. He does a Dario Argento movie from '82 called Tenebrae, and some other ones. I don't know if any of the other ones are horror or not. But he's one of these guys that I had never realized he was in anything other than.
And he's got all these connections.
And all these like deep cut horror films. Like,
right.
Oh yeah. I
would be honest. Every time I rewatch this, I'm shocked to see that I gotta cut that shit out because I've seen this movie a handful of times now, and every time I see it, I'm like, oh shit, my man's was in it, you know? And I don't know why.
What were you gonna say, Stu?
Sorry, Stu.
No, I don't think I was gonna say anything.
Maybe I was reading your mind, but it was no.
Good. I was looking at nothing. Never mind.
The dude with the mask.
Yeah, I was trying to. I feel like I've seen him in something.
He's from The Brood, or I mean, he's also in The Brood. He's like the star of David Cronenberg's The Brood from '79. And that coat, his fancy fur coat.
Yeah, dude, fact, what was that?
That's it. He showed up to wardrobe day to like get fitted, and they're like, "Perfect, don't touch a thing. Bring that coat back with you." And I guess he wore that coat in like 2 or 3 films. He busted out.
That's not like a coat a college student has, though.
Well, no. What's funny is they say it was at the time. They were like, "Oh, that's
really?"
They're like, "That's exactly what they say." Is like that's perfect for a college student. So, like, I don't know. Maybe in 1974 it wasn't.
I mean, those things are expensive as shit, though. I thought. Like,
well, he might come from a wealthy family.
Yeah. You know what? To be honest, I can in Detroit. There's a surprising number of people that will have certain clothing items, but expensive clothing items. But then these people won't have their own place to stay, their own cars. So it's like, maybe he's one of those college students where he's got this dope ass jacket. But he's living off people's couches and shit,
He gives me vibes. I don't know the actor's name, but the guy that plays young Solo.
Yes, I can totally see that. What the fuck is his name? He was in Weapons.
Oh, is he?
What's it? He was the he's a sheriff in that movie. But
the other one I want to point out, and I think she's great in this. You don't get a whole hell of a lot from her, but Andrea Martin was a Canadian actress. She was a really big deal. She's the one with curly hair and the glasses. She was
she was great.
She's one of those people, like, I looked up like a clip. So I just typed her name on YouTube. It was like her highlights, and like I know her. Like, she's won a Tony Award for Best Performance, Best Actress. She was a singer, and she was in this big Canadian sketch TV series called
SCTV. Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, when I looked up clips, I'm like, I don't remember it.
Oh, it's incredible. It had Eugene Levy, John Candy, all like I think a lot of those Kids in the Hall guys were on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because that was Canadian too.
It's like the Canadian SNL. And I think that I think I read this on Wikipedia too. Sorry I keep quoting my Wikipedia thing.
No, please.
But I think Gilda Radner from SNL had her role beforehand, and she had to give it up because she had SNL commitments, and she gave it to her because of the like they were in SCTV or Second City or some shit. They were in some comedy troupe together. So like she I mean, evidently, like on the set was just like a ball. I guess Margot Kidder and her were just like, like giving everybody the yucks the whole time. Like, just super fucking funny. But then like when you watch the movie, I would never guess like, oh, she's this really wacky Carol Burnett type. That's what my mind goes to, like the Canadian Carol Burnett. But in the movie, she's great. She's really, really good. She doesn't do a whole shitload, but there's just like this genuineness to her. Even like absolutely
her reactions to the phone call at the beginning.
She seems like the most genuinely concerned person throughout the film.
Right?
Like
that's another thing. Like I was saying, how like the friends are like more concerned in a different way that we're used to in later slasher movies. Like, yes, they're
Yes.
concerned in those.
Yeah,
There's
no,
a genuine, like when Jess goes to the hockey rink and she's like, I'm really worried about Claire. Like the cops aren't taking it serious. Like there's a genuineness to it, and
yeah.
an earnest concern that is.
Yep.
And dude,
nice.
like when the cops finally show up at the house, and they say, like, the captain says to her, "We're posting an extra man outside," and she's like, "Oh, like that's gonna help or whatever," like joking. But it ends up like that guy sit in the car and get killed. So it's like, and she's very, like you said, dude, she's very snappy and authentic. I love her character.
I wanna. That's kind of a nice segue, dude, because that cop getting killed. There's not a lot of kills that we see in the movie. That's why when I sent you guys the rundown, just like kills, creepy shit, the atmosphere, and the phone bits, like your guys' thoughts on that. But it had me thinking, is this the first? And I don't know the answer to it. Maybe somebody in the chat does. I feel like this might be the first slasher movie to have, we've had this cop waiting outside the whole time, or this protector figure, and then we look out there and he's dead in the car. Which, how many movies have done that? Like a billion.
Waste of space, yeah.
Like, is this the first one that gave us that? Which might be one of the few like unique things that it gave us. I think this just combined a lot of slasher tropes that were building up to it, but that's like one unique thing that like gets carried on. Like, yeah, that definitely you see that in a lot more movies.
Well, and it's nuts that like they have that jokey moment where they've been getting these calls and like they admit to themselves that like every window and door in the house is like unlocked except for like one or something.
Right.
At some point, like way late in the game, it's like, why are y'all? What is going on?
Did you guys catch? I mean, Stu, was the first watch for you, but did you catch the moment where John Saxon mentions that there's another phone line in the house? Like, yeah, no, that's just another phone line.
No,
they don't use that one. He kind of is like a throwaway line that if I could see someone being like, oh, you know what I mean? That should have been the moment that they got it. But you could also see where they wouldn't get it. But Stu, what do you think of just the horror elements of the movie? Like, did you? I will just say for myself, like I've seen this movie 4, 5, 6 times. There's still moments in it that it's scary. Not like I'm fucking freaking out or anything, but it's like there are moments, like especially towards the end when you find out, like when she finds out that the killer is in the house and she's yelling for her friends, Barb, come downstairs, making her way upstairs, and I'm like, get the fuck, do not go upstairs, Jess.
Absolutely great moment. That was like tops for me because, and then when she gets to the top of the steps, opens the door, she sees her like two friends bloody on top of each other, and then that scene with like his creepy ass eye through the door, door frame. A1, man.
Don't tell Agnes what we did.
It was incredibly good at building the atmosphere and building like the creepiness of this character through the phone calls. The voice was incredibly effective. Like we were talking about earlier, the use of sound design. Anytime something like horrific was about to go down, you get that sudden like cascade of piano chords or some shit you weren't ready for, dude. And it was great, man. And
I'm just kind of realizing that's like Peter banging on the keyboard. That's like the same, like it's supposed to make you think it's Peter. Dong.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a great call, though.
I didn't think of that till now. That's interesting.
That's a great way to kind of like link it together in your subconscious. One of my favorite moments was after he threw the hook into the house mom or whatever, and he's like hysterical, right? He's crying, he's like pushing the rocking chair. I just love that like little peek into his psychosis, like fuck, man. Like, and that's what took me, that was one of the moments that took me all the way back to Peeping Tom, bro. You know what I mean? Like, man, we're right there. Like we're right back with the outcast, like society's outcast here. And I for a killer whose face like we never see the entire movie, it maintains the suspense, it keeps you scared, and it does a job. Like the kills are good enough. I definitely could have used more gore, but I think all the kills are pretty scary.
I think one more kill would have set the movie off. I mean, I think it's I think it's a great film. I'm not taking anything away from it, but I think for a modern audience watching it now, we kind of need one more kill would kind of help things.
I think like Phil, we shouldn't have killed Phil off camera. Like
off camera,
when she went to the room and like they slammed the door, like we should have got like give us some payoff with that one.
Because
Yes.
how do you guys interpret that scene? Like I interpret it as like the killer knocked her the fuck out and then
and
did
then
his business and set,
absolutely, yep.
So it's like, I would have appreciated, like, that's the final scene. That's him unleashing his fucking pent up, the final outburst, I guess, if you will. That I think I would have
Wait,
went a long way.
are you guys talking about the curly haired girl?
The boyfriend,
Not her
how
name.
he get.
Oh no, I was talking about the curly hair girl, Phil. Like she goes into that room and the door closes, and you never see what happens to her.
Right.
Like she just gets killed off camera.
Right. We could have used that one. I was about to say we could have seen the cop too, but I actually really like the cop reveal, like when they're just calling up and they just pan over to him with a throat slash kind of a thing. Yeah. But Link, what about you, man? Or actually, let me read a couple comments first. Slasher Fred says, even thought it was not really a Christmas. It is not really a Christmas, but it does have a Christmas horror story, which is the 1972 anthology horror movie Tales from the Crypt, which I don't know if I've ever seen the OG Tales from the Crypt, which was later adapted to the iconic television show. Sure as shit.
When did the first Tales of the Crypt come out?
1972. I'm fucking. Am I tripping?
No, I definitely did not see the OG.
I was about to say it's got Peter Cushing in it, but I'm thinking of a totally different movie. In the movie, you see how the police are portrayed as skeptical, and don't take the protagonist seriously. And for a while, that was only a stereotype in movies like the original Blob. There's a whole thing in the original Blob. There's this whole idea of like nobody will believe the teens, which is such a fucking huge part of horror after that. In 80s horror, there's so much of that. And that's one thing I mentioned back in the early days of Road to Halloween, when we just set off on this journey, was just the idea of like keeping an eye on like how the cops are portrayed in the movies. Because in the 80s in America, we kind of get rid of them. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's no cops, if I remember.
No.
Other than maybe the beginning and the end, but no, there's no cops. But in this one, it's probably the most where they're showing them just being so inept and useless. And
dude, what is up with the phone call tracing?
Fellatio?
No, the guy running through the stacks.
Dude, I love that. You know what that is? To me, like there's so many movies where like we got to keep them on the line. We've got to keep them on the line. And I've always been like, oh, they're waiting for this digital thing. This is why they had to keep them on the line back in the day.
That's fucking crazy.
They're literally running through physical like things and trying to trace. Okay, the call is coming from here. We have to find where that's going in this big ass building. And I think it's kind of cool that that's like an answer to question.
It was just like it was just hard to understand what like he was reading. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. It was still very cool. Yeah. Like the payoff scene where he like plugged in and he heard his voice. That was cool.
Right.
One extra inept scene to me was like when my man's from Enter the Dragon, Friday the 13th dad was questioning Heather about her pregnancy, and he's like, that was such a weird way. It's like, you're a detective, put two and two together. Why do you need her blatantly to say that she's pregnant? Like, I thought that was a weird bit.
Yeah, bro.
Well, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, but if you're a cop, you need to have that shit written down. You need to have like information. I never noticed this was the first time that I ever realized what he said. I wrote it down so I didn't fuck it up. He says on the phone, he says, just like having a wart removed. And she says, oh my God. And then he's like, whoa. He's like, what did you hear? Why did you say, oh my God, to that? And like, that's the abortion tied into it.
Oh, okay. The removal. Okay.
I agree. He sounds like a goddamn animal. And I guess they would have like 3 people recording at a time. And one of them is Bob Clark. Bob Clark is one of the voices of Billy,
which
incredible. Is what the killer's been
going every time. Like just from the first phone call, like I love how it sets the tone with like how filthy it is. You're like, all right, it's
kind of shocking.
Next
when you're filthy cunt, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. And the pig.
I feel like he was trying to give a bit of backstory into the killer's origin throughout his random phone blurts and shit. Like I wasn't really able to piece too much together, but I was intrigued by that. I caught myself like, is he like trying to inadvertently or like give his origin or his reason to these people?
Think there's a couple
like nobody's searching like Billy and Agnes and and family databases here. Like, what are we doing here?
He says There's a point where he says, first of all, like that one creepy eye, but after she discovers the bodies and she looks over and she just sees the eye,
Yeah.
he says, Agnes, don't tell him what we did. You can't tell him what we did. So he did something. I assume his name is Billy. His sister's name is Agnes. And there's another line where he says, what your mother and I must know is, where'd you put the baby, Billy? So Billy and Agnes killed their baby brother, Billy. And that is his origin story. That's my guess. That's what like I've pieced together, and I think I've heard, you know what I mean, watching stuff on it. That's like the theory behind it. Or maybe there's other theories out there, but that's the one that I remember hearing.
It had to be like a family home that he. I mean, that's what I'm assuming. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool. But it's a fucking
And
genius.
then who killed Patricia?
Which one's Patricia?
Or the girl in the park?
Him. That's
Okay.
another thing that I would have never, like, well, maybe I would have. I noticed it, but I'd heard, and then I've noticed it on rewatches. Every time he calls, it's after a kill. So like that's kind of how it goes down. Which is, I would assume, there's one point where they find the body in the park, and then the phone rings right after that, and it's like, well, maybe he would have called earlier, right after he killed her, but instead this time he waited till they found her. But at least from an audience's perspective, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Fred. This movie has such very haunting sound effects.
Incredible. It's really well done. I think it's
a great example of sound design.
Absolutely. In an early, like, I feel like an early type of a horror movie that really understands the importance of it.
Hell yeah. So what do we get for kills? We get Claire's death. We get the house mom's death.
The girl who's like
Lois
psychic. She dies in her sleep. Remember? She's like,
and
Marco.
She has a fucking asthma attack.
Yeah.
There's something really, she really plays it up well. I'm like, oh my god, you're making me run out of breath.
Yeah.
But like, I also
Margot Kidder's death was
that's the shit. I think it's one of the great kills in slasher history.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we were talking about. It's what we were talking about when we were talking about Italian films too, where it's like you keep the sacred and the profane, which is, to steal that from Robbie, that's the way that Robbie has described it, keeping the sacred next to the profane. And that's that to the nth degree. You've got carolers singing songs with Christ in the words and shit while this murder is going down with such a beautiful weapon. Whatever that is, that little statue.
The way her hand smashes against the crystal, get out of here, man.
Goes to slow-mo.
Straight poetic.
He hits her, the way she pops up, the way it's filmed, it's the shit, man.
Oh my god, it's incredible.
Now I'm wondering, like, this is so random, but there's a great little British romantic comedy called Love Actually. But there's a Christmas Carol scene in that where there's all this extra shit going, not crazy shit, but I'm wondering if they picked that. It's like a little homage to this scene with the carolers and all this other crazy shit going on. But that was my favorite kill, just because of, like you said, it could easily become super chaotic, and it was meant to be chaotic, but that could easily like get lost in the sauce of them cutting to the carolers, to the expressions of, you know, the being killed, but it was a very well crafted scene, and that's my favorite kill scene in the movie, to be honest.
And man, that shot of him holding the unicorn, that like slice of light on his on his eye.
Do you guys think
unreal, man?
Do you guys think that looks like Peter? Right. So I looked up like who was the actor?
Does.
Nobody answers or I can't find an answer about who the actor was that did that. But the guy that played Peter confirmed that it wasn't him. So it's like, okay, I definitely thought
it's either it was Peter or the dude above him.
That is the actual actor that played him. You know who else I thought it could be on my most recent rewatch? Do you remember when the dad is standing there waiting for Claire and he asked that college student, first of all, how about when he gets blasted with that fucking snowball? Like, how did that go? Now they're like, hey, stand perfectly still, and we're going to hit you really fucking hard right in the eye.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt. Like, I jumped a little bit when I was like, damn.
But there's a college student that comes up and says, yeah, I know Claire. That's our sister sorority or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He looks like Peter. They kind of have a similar look, and I feel like he was at least thrown in there to be like, oh, that's what college students look like.
That was a look, yeah.
That are a dime a dozen. The Beatles were pretty big still, kind of a thing. Or they're post Beatles. But yeah, evidently it's not. So this is what I want to ask you guys. As far as the mystery goes, I feel like they're really just trying to be like Peter. All roads point to Peter.
Yeah.
First they show a stalker out there, like in the shadows. We can't see who it is. Then a little bit later on in the movie, we see somebody stalking, and it's clearly Peter. They flash to Peter at one point. He's losing his shit, beating the hell out of his piano. He's getting aggressive with Jess, and he's warning her. So, like, I don't know if I can really think of another red herring throughout the whole movie. But what I was going to point out, Two Gun, I don't know if you're still in here, but there was a movie that Two Gun Pedro showed us DHS a few years back that I considered for being part of this series. It's called Alice, Sweet Alice from 1976. And it's an American film where, like, the point of that is, like, they're pretty much like the same thing. They're pointing up Alice and being like, killer throughout the whole movie. Then you got to get to the end of the movie to find out if it really is. Psycho 2 is like that with Norman Bates, by the way, where it's like, I'm not the killer. And the whole time they're like, you're the killer. But I just think it's Bob Clark's version of a giallo movie. It's got all the style, it's got the mystery, but he just wrote like a really fucking cool, non-convoluted like mystery. I think it's like almost fucking brilliant about how the mystery is laid out in the movie. But what do you guys think of those aspects?
No, I love the mystery. I don't know if I'm settled on Peter being the killer, though. I don't think
he's not the killer.
Okay.
I don't think he's definitely not, because they kill him at the end. And then
I get what you mean. It was like
he has blue eyes. He's the red herring. But he has blue eyes. There's a couple instances where they really show his eyes. It's like, well, that can't be the guy that's hiding in the closet, because that dude definitely has brown eyes.
Yeah.
But,
no, I mean, I think they played that trope quite well. Like, because to be honest, I feel like someone first watching this, like, it's easily, if you're not, especially if you're kind of really not paying too much attention, like, you're watching it, but you're not like captivated. Like, I think it would go over your head, like, oh, that's the killer. The boyfriend was the killer. He was mad about all the shit the girlfriend's doing. But then when you get the phone call at the end, you're like, what the fuck's going on? How is there, so there's that extra like rug pull. Yeah, I think they worked it in quite well. The paranoia never lets up, and then even at the end of the film, you're still left with that air of
ring.
Yeah.
It's so
nothing
good.
else.
And the ring gets louder and louder and louder as the credits roll, which I think is so cool too. And then that makes me assume, like, we call Jess the final girl, but she dies. Jess is dead by the time this movie ends, because he goes down, he kills her, and that's when he makes the phone call. Because that's his pattern.
Oh, that's his MO. Yeah.
He killed her and Peter, right? Or did she kill Peter?
She kills Peter.
She
kills Peter, which is why I wish, like I said.
How do you know she kills Peter? Did they?
Because she comes out of the basement and he's dead. She's holding it.
That's what I said earlier. I thought in my head canon, I assumed that the killer came out of nowhere, where he was hiding in all the crevices in the house. He attacked them at the right time. I mean, it's a lot of coincidence, but he's why not? He's like, he killed the boyfriend, set it up because he's still going to be playing cat and mouse games or planning on axing her later. But I mean, I did cross my mind. I was like, it was self-defense. She thought her boyfriend went nutso, right, and she was, defending herself. But
here's the thing. Look,
I forgot to put my background up. I'm bummed out now.
He went so crazy. He went so crazy with it. Like, the whole "you're gonna have this baby" thing. It was just not believable, right? Then he gets kicked out of the house. He storms out. The cop notices him or whatever. They got the other cop posted outside, and the cops telling him that. They leave, and then like he comes out from the tree, like right in front of that cop, like he's just like doing his Birdman hand rub. But then he, coming in the, in the basement scene, like, I can't blame her, because he's like, Jess, I see you, Jess. Then he kicked the fucking window in. Then he let him. It's like, nah, bro.
This is what I'm saying. If they had played him differently, where you didn't already like think he was a piece of
more
shit,
ambiguous.
You could totally sell that as there's a killer on the loose. He's worried about his pregnant girlfriend. He's gonna break in there to try to save her. And I think his performance when he like sees her and he smiles, Jess, what are you doing down here? And like he really plays that like, is he a psycho killer or is he a concerned boyfriend? Like he rides that line really, really well.
Yeah.
Sal, there's a few different people that play Billy throughout the movie. That Bob Clark part might just be him because he did the voice for him while he was making the phone calls. But yeah, there's like 3 or 4 different people that portrayed Billy during the movie.
Because I was wondering that too. Because there's like I was like doing some James McAvoy shit at one point. Because I was like the way he's going from like switching it like Agnes, and then he'd like do a different tonal pitch, and then it was like, when are you fucking guts for this motherfucker?
Right?
Like, goddamn.
Do you remember? This is a movie fucking Robbie brings up all the time. New York Ripper, Lucio Fulci, 1983. I think that's the movie. I think that's the year too. I could be wrong, but there's a Donald Duck killer. There's a killer that keeps making phone calls and and like that is clearly taken straight from here because this guy's making like pig noises and shit.
Yeah.
That time.
Yeah.
Slasher Fred says the movie almost like reversal of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, which I fucking love. I just read that book not long ago, where instead the spider is going towards its victims. I don't remember the spider bit. I wonder if that's in the movie adaptation, which I've never actually seen. But good shit there. You guys want to hit these motherfucking themes before we get about this bitch? There's a lot going on. I think it's a very feminist movie. There's a lot of things that make it stand out. Again, from the movies that came after it. But Stu, you dig at anything? You want to bust out any themes? What this thing's trying to say?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It definitely. I don't know. It definitely has themes of like familial abuse, and I think the fallout from that, and I don't know. It's also I can empathize with the father because I think like we all have kids, and there's always that moment with your child where whether it be like their first day of pre-K or going to daycare or whatever, where up to that point they've been with you, right? They've been under you or your significant others or your both of y'all's care and direction, and you gotta like let them out into the
put them off in the world.
I know I'm not there yet, so don't spoil it. I haven't let mine out in the world yet. Don't spoil it,
dude. It's like I can understand him being there like that when his daughter went missing.
Absolutely.
So like I don't know. There's definitely like showing up for your loved ones. There was one of my favorite shots from the movie, like for this not having a whole lot of super emotional moments. One of my favorite shots was like just the dad. It was from outside the sorority house, and it was the dad like sitting at the table, and I think they were coming in and talking about going out for the search party or whatever, and he was just sitting at the dinner table like kind of solemnly by himself. But I thought like little moments like that carried by these performances really helped that movie out. But I think there's a lot going on with the themes too. But I do think it harkens back to the same things we looked at with Psycho, and I think those were just like the best two to start it off with, like
right,
like for real, right? Because we have those those these damaged men who grew up in bizarre and awful family situations, and this is the result of that, right?
You know what makes me think like part of what makes it kind of tie in all together is Margot Kidder, Lois Lane, her character right at the beginning. She's on the phone with her mom, and it's her mom is. I get the feeling like she's rich or she's a gold digger, and she doesn't want her to come home for Christmas. She's like, "Where are you going? Well, why can't I come?" Oh, it's because you're a gold digging whore or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, her mom is going out with some new boyfriend and she can't go home. So it kind of hits you right off the bat with that familial stuff right away. It's like the Freudian era. Like we're still living in the Freudian era of horror. You know what I mean? Where everything is, thank God for Freud. because he really
Like I just love I just love the evolution of the spectacle of it, right? Like how we recognize it as a part of ourselves and a part of our culture at large, and how like it's like this the elephant in the room, right? It's this monster that's out there, and we really don't know how big it is. And I just love these films, like however voyeuristic and sadistic they may be. It's just I think it's a fascinating insight into our psyche. Our psyche as a whole.
There's an exploration. Like even though it's voyeurism, there's an exploration going on. It's not just to do it. There's something behind it.
Yeah.
He's crazy. He could have just been crazy, but they give him a motivation for why he is the way that he is.
But just from the opening, like him stalking the house, breathing heavy, you want to get to know more about him, regardless. Like,
he's a mysterious guy.
Yeah,
exactly. He's intriguing as hell. What about you, Lakey? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, themes I kind of was touching on it earlier with the I guess it's the feminist movement in terms of like the pianist boyfriend, and I keep forgetting the chick's name, Helen.
Jess.
But Jess, that was so off. But I do think it's an interesting scene to play out, because I think there's something to be said there in terms of like it's her body, her choice. Like I think there's a lot of situations where it's like a woman might have been like, I'm not ready for this. And I don't think it's made easy, to get an abortion. But then it's the guy kind of going, what are you doing? What do you But in reality, I think like the woman oftentimes is put more thought into that. Like, I'm going to be the one to really commit to this. Like the dad's like, well, yeah, keep it. But it's like sometimes dads can be like, have the baby and dip out. I think it was an example of like where she was really put, like us men, we don't really develop a relationship with the kid until they're born. Like women, it's 9 months before that when they're gestating, they're bringing the baby to life. So I think there speaks of more foresight as to the choices make when women decide to have like that big decision, and it kind of was speaking on like, the dude not being a little immature and kind of being selfish, because that's why I said it kind of like he was kind of like, yo, move your life around for my piano ways. And then he, and then when the baby pops up, he was like, she wasn't down with that. He was like, what are you talking about? You're going to have this baby. Like, this is what, he wasn't emotional. There's something there's a theme there. I can't really articulate it well, but it's definitely speaking to it.
It's like, if things have been worded even certain ways, like if he would have been like, Jess, I want to have this baby with you. Will you marry me? Instead, he's like, yeah, we're going to get married.
Yes.
He doesn't say it in a way that's like, we're getting married. He's not like, he just says it like he doesn't even realize he's being a dickhead, or like he doesn't realize there's anything toxic about the way that he's being about it. That's why I was gonna ask you guys. And again, like he ends up going down a road that is indefensible by the end of it. He's not the fucking killer, spoiler alert, but some of the stuff that he says, like, oh, I wish you wouldn't have went that far. But does he at least have a right to be upset about it? And I would say, you know what I mean? Like she's I'm not even saying that she has to consult him about the abortion. If you know what I mean, your body, your choice, like fine, you know what I mean? I get that. But when you tell him, you can't be surprised that he's upset about it. It's not wrong to be upset about it, which is why I wish they would have played it that way in the movie, where it's like, yeah, he has the right to be upset and want her to keep it. And he just toes that line of nobility and concern. And you could look at him at the end of the movie and be like, oh, he was not doing anything.
He wasn't really
at all.
I agree with that. I mentioned earlier I would have changed the rapport with the girls just a little bit. I would have changed the ambiguity with the boyfriend, because with how it stands now, his reasoning for wanting to keep the child was very selfish, because that's what he wanted, But I think there's an argument there. Like, there's some guys who genuinely care. Like, yo, like, whoa, I get like your body, your choice, but can we like at least let's let this marinate for a while. Let's talk about this. I'm not really cool with that. And so he does have a right to. I think in reality, a situation like that, both parties participated, both parties have a say so, or have a a reason to feel a certain way, not say
Right.
so.
Exactly.
But in his instance, was painted as such an asshat that it just comes
Right.
off as just selfish. But I would have
Yeah, well,
appreciated
and
more ambiguity.
that line when he was like, you know, you're gonna regret saying that or some shit like that. Like they really like
Right. They laid
twisted
into
the
it.
knife
just-
too. And then like after that, he
Yeah.
posted up outside. Then he's breaking into the house. He's breaking glass. Like it's just escalated. It's like, bro, it's like, all right, man. Like you about to operate on her right now, cuz like is this like a demon spawn that you impregnated her with? Like I was like, why do you want this baby so bad, fam?
Slasher Fred said, if you ever watched the classic thriller, The Spiral Staircase, which I've heard of, I don't think I've seen. That movie has a zooming shot of the killer's eye, which is what happens in Black Christmas. Great call out. Love hearing that. I had to look up what year that is from. But I mean, obviously it's from before this, but that's cool. This is a great call, Sal. I'm glad you said this because I was thinking the same thing. Reminds me a bit of Parasite, too, with the unknown rooms and inhabitants in the house. It takes me to like my other bit of like thematics going on in the movie is like it's your safe space, and it's like
you're most vulnerable.
Horror is inside the home. You think you're safe. Also, the facade of police protection or like governmental protection. When you see like when it comes down, we all think we're. What do you mean? I'm a 911 call away from everything's honky dory, but it's like not necessarily. That's not. It's not the fucking rule. Like it might not go down that way, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a good call with the Parasite connection. I want to have
great call.
Yeah,
there was. It made me look up. There's a bunch of these fucking situations. A man in the attic, 2008, Japan. 57-year-old homeless woman was discovered living in a man's home in Japan after they were noticing food missing, and they checked the security camera. There's this woman coming out and stealing food.
No, bro, this happens all the time.
This is real. Ex-boyfriend, 2012, in the attic, South Carolina. Ex-boyfriend in the attic. Stranger in a crawl space in Seattle, 2014. A woman under the floorboards in Ohio in 1980s. University student.
Listen, if I find you in my attic, I'm gonna tell they're gonna find you. They're gonna find you dead, and I'm gonna tell the cops you've been up there for like 3 days. You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick apart for you. Like I'm gonna treat you like my clone, bro, and just leave you in the smokestack.
But
and
I'm gonna
shit,
beat your ass to death. I'm gonna beat your ass to death with a bat if I find you in my
attic. I'm over here getting goosebumps when you said that these are real situations. I thought these were movies at first.
Yeah,
like
it's either like people with nowhere to go, squatters, is like sometimes like crazy exes, like you was just.
I've always, before my wife moved in, she wasn't my wife at the time, I never locked my doors. I grew up in a house that we locked the doors, and then like my buddy's house, who I spent more time with in my high school, they never locked the doors, and I just liked that. So yeah, fuck that, we don't need to lock the doors. Why lock doors? And then I moved here, and I never locked them for like 15 years. And sometimes we'll leave when like we'll go to get lunch, and we'll come back, and my wife will be like, "You didn't lock the door." And it's like, I don't think that much of it, but maybe I should be, because you're right.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Anything could happen. There's crazy. That's another thing this movie is saying. There are people out there that don't have the mind that we have. They don't have the morals that we have. They don't fucking function like we do. And you never know when you could come across one of those.
Dude, we got our doors kicked in on Thanksgiving. We lived down in Georgia, man.
Really?
Somebody robbed us. We went to the grandparents' house to eat for the holiday. Came back home that night. Somebody had kicked in our back door and taken our television.
Was it scary?
Yeah, I've always been.
It's terrifying. It's incredibly violating.
You had kids at the time?
Yeah. We had just had Ella. Ella was a baby.
Holy fuck, that's scary.
It was terrifying, dude. It's like
always lock your doors, bro. I've always been of the mind.
Lock your doors, people.
I grew up with that mindset, and then for high school I moved out to like a different environment with my grandma, and she was one of those people who did not lock her doors. She used to get upset at me when I locked her door, and I'm like, bro, I never understood that. You have a key, I know it's going to take you a little extra time to get in that bitch, but it's like better safe than sorry. No one's broken in this bitch. And I mean, you still have people that will break down doors and shit like that. So it's
that's ours was locked, like, and that's a crazy thing, because then you start to wonder, well, were they clocking us? Like they knew, because they knew
watching.
So then that's like makes you start to wonder all sorts of things.
Hell yeah. All right, so let's get in. Let's go ahead and rate this bad boy, get up out of here. But I will mention to you guys in the chat real quick, we are taking nominations for a spooky movie that we're going to be covering some point in Horror Fest. I think it's the second or third week of October. I can't remember, but we booted The Conjuring, and we're gonna do another spooky movie based on y'all's recommendations. So far, we have Session 9, which I'm almost sure was recommended by Evan, Dylan's brother
That's
from
a good
Dylan's
one.
Horror Show. So Session 9, I nominated Lake Mungo. And we're going to vote on these in a couple weeks, whenever we've got a decent amount of people in here and we've got a decent amount of movies to vote on. But anybody in the chat that wants to put out a spooky movie, and just to clarify, it just doesn't have to, it just can't be a slasher, it can't be a zombie movie, and it can't be 13 fucking
God damn it.
but anything other than
Why
that,
do you keep denying those?
and you know, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do like
yeah.
The Shining or The Exorcist, like because we've got Rosemary's Baby, we've got The Thing, we've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we've got Halloween, we've got enough of the top fucking horror movies of all time that I don't want to add The Shining or The Exorcist or another one of those huge. Thank you, Evan. Evan coming through is clarifying he did indeed recommend Session 9. So we've got those
two. To do with Evan, if you've ever seen what was it? Fucking, he played Horatio, where he's always taking off the sunglasses. What crime scene is this? It was like one of those fucking what? I cannot think of the name. It was like crime procedural show, but it was like a spinoff. It was like LAPD, but he played this dude named Horatio. But I think that's the same actor in it, and it's like a ghost movie. I haven't seen, it came out like 2001.
Oh, 2001. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen
the cast for that. David Caruso plays Phil.
David Caruso.
Yes,
It is from the director of the Machinist from 2004. After this he did The Machinist, Brad Anderson.
Wow,
which is pretty cool. But I'd be very down to do that. I've never seen it. And then Lake Mungo is another one that I put up it's spooky. I think it would be an interesting conversation. It was the original movie that I had in the place of The Conjuring. It's an Australian mockumentary film. So it's not found footage. It's one of those where they set it up and look like it's a documentary. But anyone that has any other recommendations, any other movies that you'd like to nominate, go ahead and throw them out. But Stu, I'm going to send it to you. Give us your rating out of 5 for Black Christmas, my brother.
Man, I will give this one a solid. I'll give it a 3.75 out of 5. I think it does a lot of things right. There are some bizarre jumps and weird twists and turns and unnecessary bits, but I love the the atmosphere. I love the music. I love the performances. I love the idea of a killer being in the house, nobody knowing, calling from inside the house, early on in the genre. And I think this one does a great job of illustrating things we've covered, on the road to Halloween, about psychoses and our treatment and sensationalizing of them. So this one was a lot of fun, dude. And definitely want to revisit it around Christmas time.
Hell yeah. Agreed.
But
that's what I said in that post that I made. Like, I was really conflicted. Like, do I want to do Black Christmas in fucking August? But like, it's like I said, it's a little bit weird to do it in August, but it would have been weirder to not do this as part.
There's really nothing besides like the musical element to it. I would say like the children's choir scene and like the just the general musical, like the introduction and stuff like that. Besides that, it's really not. There's really not any Christmas.
A shitload. You're right.
It lends itself more to the road forward than like some Christmas themed stuff.
Right.
Besides that, it's all the killings and what's going on revolving that. Like,
it's just the backdrop. It's not them like shoving Christmas down your face constantly the whole time. Right?
The Santa bit is absurd. The whole bit with the kid is absurd, dude. Like, what was going on with the kids, man?
With the kid drinking alcohol?
Yeah,
I think it's trying to
sorority got suspended.
All these girls are like, yes, they're sexually active. Yes, they drink, but they're also all these career-focused women. They do stuff with kids in the holiday season. It just made them like real character. I keep on saying like it took them from the tropes of the 80s, but it's before that. So it was just kind of doing its own thing. It's not subverting things that didn't happen yet, but it is.
When did this come out? 78, 79?
74. So this is actually before Deep Red. that came out
Okay.
in '75, which we did
What
before.
I've got to dip more in the 70s film, bro, but from what I'm gathering is like 70s was raw, bro. Like
Fuck yeah.
it was real.
The
It's
'70s
crazy
was the
this came
original
out.
2010s. Like
Yes.
it was so politically fucking crazy and just a dark time. We've got people blowing shit up in America. We just came off all these assassinations, Vietnam. It was just a
Pointless war, yeah.
bleak fucking era, and you can see it in the film. There's a rawness
That's
to
so
it.
sick that this dropped within 2 weeks of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Did it really?
Within 2 months,
Yeah,
for sure.
isn't that
Like
what
I
you
said,
said? Oh, 2 months.
I saw
Sorry,
something
you said
that
at the top of the show. Yeah,
I saw something that said that they came out on the same exact day, but maybe that's
Can-
just like in the state. I don't know
shit.
for sure. I know it came.
Can you imagine though being back in the day and seeing these films for the first time in theaters so closely together, like
Right,
just how it's game changing, like
exactly.
because everything was very tame up into that point. Like even with shit like Blood and Black Lace and like Psycho, as great as though they were, there's like a we were saying, there's a rawness to these 70s films that like it was just kind of like 60s toyed with it, and then there was no slow like inkling phase. It was just like smack in the face,
it's like,
welcome to the real
right.
shit.
I think with like what Vern's talking about with everything going on in the culture at the time, it's that acceptance of like we are broken. There's like
Right.
Coming to terms with
Scorsese and Taxi Driver and all that shit is right around the corner. Like
For real.
this is
Great call.
This is like I think that's what I love about horror is like it's a mirror of society in so many in a lot of profound ways. So I think this is the first example of that.
This is kind of fucking random, but it just I've seen this a few times now. Very fucking random and off topic. But all these albums released within 44 days in 1991. Have you guys ever seen this meme? Fucking Metallica 1, Pearl Jam 10, Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Soundgarden, Bad Motor Finger, and Nirvana Nevermind. Like all came out within 44 days of each other. Like, and we lived through that shit. Like I know I was into all that shit at the time, and it's just like crazy. That's kind of what the 70s were for horror. Like so much happened within these 2 or 3 years. Right there, Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Deep Red, all the movies we talked about surrounding it, The Exorcist, the year before this. It's like it was a time when it was about filmmakers. You know what I mean? It was more about filmmakers than previous times, and more about realism and grounded and like actual believability.
It's one of my favorite things about art is being able to like trace our reaction to the world we're living in through these like genres of movies or the books or whatever. You know what I mean? It's so fascinating.
Fable says porn was playing in the theaters. That's how nuts the 70s were.
70s were raw. So looking at a theme, it's just like 70s was about the artists, 80s was about restriction. And even though I love the 80s, but they definitely were like, we got movie ratings around then. 90s seemed to get more back to like being about the artists. That's how we got Quentin Tarantino, shit like that, a lot of classic films too. So going off that theme, 2000s would be the withholding decade. 2010s would be the 2020s would be a shit decade.
I think the 90s in some ways they loosened up. This is something I've heard Tarantino say. He didn't realize how constrictive the 90s were until he got out of the 90s. And if you look at that, then we get some crazy shit in the 2000s. We get Hostel. We get torture porn after Scream and Urban Legend. And you know what I mean? The softer stuff of the 90s.
Restricted towards a certain genre though, because it's like I'm sitting here thinking of like Hostel and Pulp Fiction, right? But I would say there's more unsettling like visually, you could easily give it to Hostel, but I think there's more unsettling situations in Pulp Fiction.
That's a good point.
Is where it's like, I mean, not every filmmaker is Quentin Tarantino. I wish I had a better example, but I'm wondering if it was just with pigeonholed to horror. At large.
No, I think it's like musically too. You think about like Eminem and Marilyn Manson and all that shit. Remember how like Up in Arms
people were coming down and
you know what I mean? And 9 Inch Nails and all, like, so it's like, I don't know.
That's true.
I think it's across the board. Like one thing influences the other.
Right. I mean, as Robbie said a bunch of times, it's the post Nancy Reagan era. And it was that just say
was
no and us coming out of that. And then like there's all this prosperity in the 90s. It's like, oh, we must be doing it right.
something,
There
right?
must be
Yeah.
something right going on. But all right. So what'd you rate it, Link? Or did you rate it yet?
Oh no,
No.
I will give this one. It might be a little hyperbolic, but hyperbole. I'll give it a 4.5. Man, there's really minor things I would change about this film, but I think based on the fact that it can still incite like this dreadful atmosphere,
Mhm.
fucking 40 plus years later, there's something to be said by that. It's not a perfect film, but there's some things I would change, but I think given its time and what it established, like I gotta just give it a little slight bump. I'll give it a
Mhm.
4.5. I enjoyed this rewatch.
I'm actually right there with you, dude. And I'm right there with Two Gun Pedro as well, who gives it a 4.5. This is what I was thinking when I was gonna go give the rating. Is do I like this better than Deep Red? And I gave that a 4.25. And I'm like, I do. It's
Yeah.
less convoluted. It doesn't have the kills that Deep Red have, but it does. It's got more atmosphere. I mean, there's a different whole thing that Deep Red is doing with Goblin and everything, and it's fucking cooler in some ways. But this is like more of a horror film, and it's got that atmosphere, and I think it's smarter. It's a more well written movie than Deep
Yes,
Red. So
it is.
just based on that, I'll bump up from my 4.25 from Deep Red to a 4.5 for this one. Fable saying the Horror Fest bump. That's
Yeah,
Robbie's thing. I don't do the Horror Fest bump. I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it on Candyman either. But I do, like I said, we always fucking grade a little bit high. But I feel good with the 4.5 on this, and I enjoy it more every time. Like some of the stuff that's like
that's
kind of confusing about it, like on watches after.
No, I think that's a great point, because that's like I was really enjoying this rewatch, and that's something that older films can kind of get me, but it's like with this one, if I take notice or I'm picking up more and more every time I watch it, I gotta give it more credit. I get pat on the back for that. Give it more credit.
Dude, I'm known for fucking watching these things twice in a week, but it's not always like I don't always enjoy it as much on the second watch as I did this one on the second watch. I watched this on Tuesday, and then I watched it again this morning. I was more scared on Tuesday because I watched it at night. I really do think that's like, I mean, it's kind of obvious, but like it helps when you watch movies at night. Like if there's actually going to be some atmosphere to it, watch it at night. Maybe it's like it really does add something to it. So I watched it again today at like 8:30 in the morning. Bit of a different experience. Here's what I want to ask you. Go ahead, Link.
No, I was gonna say we're at the fucking end of
Halloween
already.
We fucking did it. We have arrived, baby. So first off, I'll just say next week, next Thursday, be here. We're doing Halloween 1978. One of my favorite fucking movies of all time. I absolutely adore this movie. I've seen it a trillion times, as I'm sure many of you have. But Wes is going to join us from Wespresso on Instagram. Yeah. We're going to play some trivia. We're going to give away a Jason mask next week, man. I don't know exactly the trivia that we're going to play, but I actually just put together a video that I will be releasing soon where I'm going to show you how I made this. And I'm going to give it away this coming up Thursday. So stick around for that. Really looking forward to it. And
he's saying it's a giveaway, guys, but that's in the bag. I'm going to win this competition this time. It's mine. So
one's going to the panel. I kind of hope, Wes, I love you, but you already won one. I hope Wes doesn't win. And in all honesty, he might, because Wes knows a fucking lot about movies.
Yeah, Wes is.
But we shall see. I'll give one to the panel.
Is that the show off the scream mask? That's
want to see that scream, baby?
Yeah.
You want to see that scream? I just got this. Yeah. This is the new Spirit Halloween Jason Ghostface mask, but it didn't look like this when I got it. It's just this white mask with the shitty fucking brown like dirt drips. I don't know what. It was the worst paint job I've ever seen. It didn't have the decals. It wasn't this cool color. Didn't have any damage. So this was really fun to make. This is my wife says it's the best thing I've ever made. She says,
yeah, bro, you did an excellent job with that,
dude. You've got like all the elements there. That's so far.
Thank you. It's really fun to make. It's really cool. It turned out really good. But I don't know where the fuck I was going with it. Oh, this is what I want to ask you guys. Stu, what was
Yes,
your
sir.
favorite movie? If you had to pick
Man.
one, what's your favorite movie of Road to Halloween?
Peeping Tom, dog.
I love
Peeping
it,
Tom was
dude.
fucking incredible.
I love how much you loved it, man.
It was genius, and it, like, you know, as you know, being right next to Psycho, it was just that was an incredible 1-2 experience to start it off. That really put things in perspective, and I thought you did a great job of, like I said earlier, like framing it with that. You know, other than that, Black Christmas here was great, but obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
was
fuck yeah.
special.
Yeah.
That was special. That was, you know, gripping to watch the first time, especially like getting to that ending. And like I said, finally understanding what that terrified girl in the truck that I saw and all those blood splatter chatter intros was all about, bro.
That's one of my favorite things about this series is how many of these movies you saw for the first time. Peeping Tom,
Yeah.
Blood and Black Lace, Dracula, Prince of
Pretty
Darkness,
much.
Deep Red, Texas Chainsaw, and Black Christmas. Shit.
Yeah,
everything but Psycho, right?
except Psycho.
I feel like
yeah.
Psycho was the only one doing the
But even
scene
Psycho, like revisiting that and
So
like
good.
understanding,
through a different lens.
like I don't, and it's crazy too. Like the end of that, I just saw a video about the Kubrick stare. Right, I'm like, it's not the Kubrick stare. It's Hitchcock and
Right.
and Homeboy and Norman Bates at the end of Psycho. Like,
Right. Great
you
point.
know what I mean? So,
Lake, if you had to pick one, what was your favorite one? What was your favorite rewatch or first time watch?
I would say my favorite first time watch was between Deep Red and Blood and Black Lace. Yeah, maybe Deep Red. Just because I was like, man, am I a Giallo fan now, bro? Like, fuck. Like, you know, I given you and Robbie so much shit.
Those are two of the best ones. There's still so much out there that you would be like, no.
I mean, but still, that shows that these make it more tolerable watching the, like, okay,
Right.
you know, I get what they're going for because they might not achieve the pinnacle, but I get that they're on that same wavelength. So first time watch, Deep Red, Blood and Black Lace, but I'm right there with Stu in terms of like rewatches. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, I know that was the first watch for Stu, but rewatch
Right.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was a good one for me. Rewatch for me. I saw it through a different lens. You know, I've always appreciated the
Right.
movie, but I don't think I really watched it since we had done our 2000s horror list, and I was like talking about the remake and shit like that. So because I rewatched that one for the list, but rewatching their OG put a lot of it into context for me, and to see how many, as we said on the stream, how many films have apes off that or fucking given a homage or tip of the hat to that film.
Right.
It's great. You know, not even horror films, and many films have given a tip of the hat to that film. So it was a cool rewatch to see all that.
Fuck yeah. I'm right there with you, man. I loved Psycho. I love rewatching that. I think that might be like the best film. You know what I mean? I don't know. You can make an argument for best film, but my favorite out of all these has to be Texas Chainsaw, just because of that unique, like, fucking horror movie that it is. Like, you know, it's so intense, so good in so many ways, and it's so quick. You're in and out like a robbery, and just the way it leaves you breathless, like, whoa, like, holy shit, I'm glad she made it. Like, kind of a thing. I love that so much.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
as I said, man, next week we're going to be giving away a Jason mask, having some fun, playing some trivia. Wes is going to join us, talking about one of the greatest horror movies of all time, one of the greatest, I'll say it, one of the greatest films of all time, one of the most important and influential films ever made, and that will ever be made in Halloween, man, 1978. Let me ask you, I'm going to ask you guys next week, like, your history with the movie, but what I want to know right now, Stu, when's the last time you saw Halloween?
Either last year or the year before.
Okay.
There was like, I went on a spell where I watched a shit ton of them. I think probably for like preparing for something your show related, but yeah, it hasn't been too long since I've seen the OG.
Nice. What about you, Link?
It's been a few years, not crazy long, but I haven't, like, I want to say I rewatched it. I feel like I covered the David Gordon Green trilogy on someone's channel. It's Robbie's, yours, Dylan's, but I remember watching those and people enjoy. I've grown a little bit more fonder of the trilogy since then, but I remember people enjoying that. I'm like, what? did we watch the same goddamn movie? Like, let me watch the original because the way people are lauding this movie is wild. But I want to say like it's been like 3-4 years, like 2021, 2022 was like the last time I watched the OG.
Nice, man. I showed my nieces this a couple years ago, which was
Nice.
special. I love doing that. I showed them Scream. They were blown away. They loved it. And then I showed them this, and they liked it, and they loved the ending. You know, which I thought was pretty cool. I love doing that. I love showing them old horror movies that they can handle, but not as much as I love Ink and Insights every Wednesday night. Tell people about it, Stu.
Every Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, me and E going over our favorite comic book new releases from Marvel, DC, Image, and the Indies. So check us out on Dr. Doom's Fan Club.
Oh yeah,
and then
you
notes from
your
the editors.
Interesting.
This is 9:30 p.m. Eastern on E's channel, 9-panel grid. So next Tuesday, we're talking about our favorite books about comics.
So let me get this straight, just to clarify. Every Wednesday, you guys are talking about new books, right? New books that came out. And then every Tuesday, is this like a topic of the week kind of a thing?
Right. It's like
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Conversations all across the board. So yeah.
What are the must-read books about comic books? I love it, man. I think that's pretty fucking cool.
Thanks,
All right. And again, that's over on 9-panel grid.
Yeah, man.
Make sure you're subbed up over there and at Dr. Doom's Fan Club.
And lastly, I want to say that staircase kill scene in Psycho, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, iconic. This Detective Fallen, bro, fucking amazing. I love it.
Like you just see like Norman come out of that room and turn. It's just like with the wiggle and everything. So great.
Fuck yeah. And then tell people where you were right before you came over here, Link, or where they could find you. And then you were just on with Mark too over on his
Gary B, the casual comic guy. He 1011. Our brother Mark was given some of his 10. I think it's 10 or 12. I think he did 12, but it might be to like 10. No, it is 1011. So there's 12 altogether. It's like 10 books he loves plus like a spec book and something else I forget. But it was a great time. Mark gave us some rundown on some of the books that got him into comics and stuff like that. It was over there with Gary B and Digger Jim, and there were some great hosts. And
whoa!
Check that out.
Be careful with that one. Who?
Comic Digger. He's a comic. He's digging for comics.
That's a fucking rough.
I'm down there, Hug fan.
Is he black?
No, but
whoa, Digger Jim, you better fucking rethink that, buddy. But holy shit! All right, okay. I'm just joking. First of all, I think I told you this. I said you were in Paul the 619. Right? So, but Gary B, casual comic guy, go check it out. And then you were over on Geeks Unleashed for their 200th episode, right? Or 100th?
Yes, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think they had a Superman episode that they just covered the new Superman movie, but yeah, the one before that was the 200th episode of Geeks Unleashed. So check that out.
Congrats to Jasmine and Mark over at Geeks Unleashed. 200, no small feat, man. So hell yeah, big ups to
serious work.
Big ups to everybody in the chat. Fable, Two Gun, Easy, 9-panel grid. Evan, my brother from another. Slasher Fred bringing the heat tonight, man. Appreciate you, Slasher.
Oh, man.
Sal was up in here. Can appreciate all you classy cats in the chat. And make sure you come and hanging out with us next Thursday night for Halloween. And then I just set it up. I'll be honest with you guys. I pushed out on the history of the slasher genre thing. I'm setting up that show. And it was supposed to be me and Robbie going over the entire history of the slasher genre. And I'm like, I don't know how fun this is going to be. I'm like, this seems like, first of all, it seemed like homework to me to set it up, which is fine. But then I felt like I'm giving Robbie way too much shit. Like, yeah, we're going to cover the entire 60s and the 70s and then the 80s and the 2000s. I'm like, this dude's fucking in the middle of Horror Fest. I'm giving you too much to do. So instead, we're going to do our top 10 favorite slasher movies of all time.
Nice.
And that's going to be in a couple weeks from now on September 12th. So Robbie will give you his list. I'll be giving you my list, and we're going to give you a bunch of honorable mentions, and then we're going to touch on some of the things that I wanted to talk about on that.
We'll do a
little and I think it'll be a lot more fun. I'll be a lot more relaxed, and it'll be a lot more fun.
Easier structure.
Exactly. So again, I appreciate all you guys in the chat. Appreciate you two sexy sons of bitches on the panel. And we'll see you next week for Halloween, baby.
The caller is in the house.